So, last time we left off, I'd said we were done with our player menu navigation system and all that. That was a huge lie. I'd completely forgotten that we do not have any kind of an inventory screen to show what items the player has. And design-wise, I haven't decided how I want to handle this, but we haven't really done any way to change the equipped quick heal item. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly how I want to handle that. I got a few thoughts around whether or not the item the player's going to use changes based on the player pressing the D-pad, and then Y is always just the dedicated heal button, or if there's some other pop-up toggle, or if there's something like the skill interface where the names of the items that are available become associated with each of the face buttons if you're holding down maybe a left bumper or something like that. So that's a little up in the air, but one way or the other, we need a screen to show all the items the player has. And that's not just like usable inventory items. So I take that back. There's a third thing also we need a way for the player to use items outside of battle for healing or restoring SP or changing status effects. But either way, we don't have that screen that shows the consumable items they have, the materials they picked up from combat, the equipment that's in their inventory, so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and put that together now, and we're going to add that to our player navigation menu. So first off, we'll give ourselves a new navigation item here. And status, equipment, put that after, that before equipment. Okay, so we have our navigation bar controller. Yes, that should cover that. Do our familiar error check. Now, our screen navigation should work because we've persisted that the order of the icons on the screen are the same as the order of the items in the enumeration. So now we need our screen up here. Actually, I'm going to rename a few of these while I'm at it, since the naming convention is a little off. There we go. So that should cover everything in regards to that kind of screen management. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves a inventory screen of some sort. So to start with, we'll add ourselves a, actually, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the equipped skills screen. Now, I'm kind of setting this up to start with just to show the items on the left side, and then as the item selection is changed, we're going to change the description on the right. However, once I've kind of figured out a more holistic way to do the scrolling, I'm going to have to come back and make this a scrollable interface. But for now, while the issues with the gamepad navigation are still kind of up in the air, we're just going to treat this as the as a non-scrollable section. So we get our inventory screen, our layout, it's a horizontal layout. This guy's set to be a total of 1.6 times bigger than the next biggest item in the group layout, I believe is how that's done. So you can see just at a glance, it looks like it's about 1.6 times. Yeah, $3.99, and then this is $6.32. Yeah, that sounds about right. And keeping the horizontal layout, as we scale the height of the screen, the height will also realign to the size of the container. Now, I need a couple scripts here. Yes, I think I'm going to want to follow a similar interface to how I did my skill display versus my skill purchasing screens, where I'm going to have the read-only display as the main base class that has all the information. And then I'll drive a child class that has the button information and the on-click handling and event firing for whether I want to use the item or discard the item or whatever my scenario is. So we have our inventory item display controller. And our inventory item usage controller, as well as our inventory screen controller, which will manage our panel that has our list of items in the inventory, as well as the setting of the selected item to the display. And then in turn handling using the item or discarding it from the player's inventory. Now, we're going to follow, much like our previous screens, we're going to follow the same pattern we have for having the selected item and navigation and all that within this screen. And yet again, once I come back and do a more holistic way of handling that kind of selection, we'll kind of come back and refactor these screens. But for the moment, we're going to have a couple of things here. We're going to have our normal and selected item. Our styles that'll be held in button objects. Our panel of items. And we will have our inventory item usage controller. And what else will we have? I think that's it for the moment. We might come back a little later on. Well, for our usage container, well, we'll worry about that in a few minutes. So, as usual, in our start method, we'll check to see if everything's bound up or not, and if it's not, we'll throw an error. Now we got some prefabs that we're going to go ahead and create. So in our player menu section, create another new folder for our inventory screen. Yeah, since the selected item is just a host for the style, we don't actually need to have that node key. Everything's going to be instantiated from this normal item prefab. So we've got our panel. So on enable of the screen, we're going to go and load the item panel. Yeah, we should have get items. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. So we're going to loop over all the items in the player's inventory, and for each one we're going to go ahead and create an add item call. And this guy is going to create an instance of the game object from our normal item style prefab. And we want to get the node key, and we're going to set the item key to the key of the object of the item. And the second thing we're going to do is we're going to get the text element, and we're going to set the text to the display name of the item. So, as a first pass, it's going to load up all the items in the inventory. We need a layout for our items. We will do a grid layout. That's interesting. That's interesting. The prefabs broke at some point. I mean, I suppose that'll happen sometimes, so that's still kind of strange. I never attached any of my components. So, we'll go ahead and do that now. So, let's go ahead and get a inventory item, inventory screen controller. We need the panel, the description, and we need our item style prefabs. So that's something. Didn't exactly stick to our width here. So constraint. It wants either a fixed column count or a flexible column count. I can't exactly set a maximum number of items. Now, let's go ahead and try setting the layout on the other side then. So preferred width, no. Flexible width. I'll actually turn this off on the other panel. I'll go ahead and stick with this. So for our description, we have our display name, our text description. We don't have an SP cost for an item, but what do we have? We have a quantity and a max capacity. I don't really care about showing drop rate. I'll leave that as one text box. So we need, in our controller here, actually we need a lot of the same stuff that we had in our skill unlock controller. So we can just go ahead and copy from this. I'll repurpose a lot of this code we already wrote. So we have our button for use and drop. We have a text display for display name. Our description. Usage, which I don't think items right now have a concept of usage, whether they can be used in combat or on the overworld or both. But we'll add that later on. For now, though, I just want to placehold the usage text box. We have the quantity, our button to use, and our button to drop. And those are going to fire events. So, as is usual, all right. Add our button event handlers. Add our event invokers. And that'll fire back up. And we need one last thing here. And actually, we're going to make that a Actually, we'll keep those events to be void. We'll grab the item afterwards. Alright, so we're going to show all the items if we were actually given a current item. We're going to set the text. This dot text display name dot text is equal to item dot definition dot display name. And if the current amount is greater than 0, then it's interactable, else it is not. So we'll have the button visible, but it will not be clickable. Though, technically, if there's 0 items in the inventory, we should have removed the item from the inventory in the first place, and it would inherently not be selectable. But we'll just go ahead and future-proof this just in case. So in our inventory screen controller, so we'll select the first item by default. Now, we also need to handle for selection changing. Now, if you'll remember from a previous part, we did this thing where we have an event trigger entry that we hook onto each of our instantiated objects. We'll follow the similar style here. So as we move over each item, we're going to go ahead and set the item that we're looking at in the detail section. On item selected, yeah. We need to go make sure our template on our prefab actually has the event trigger on it, which it does. So let's give that a shot. We are throwing an error. We haven't wired up any of our controls on the display. So let's go ahead and grab that. So button use, button drop. I haven't set any max quantities on any of the items. So we'll go ahead and check to see if that value is greater than 0, and if it is, we'll show the max quantity. Otherwise, we'll just show the amount. We're also not updating the display text. Well, that'll be why we're not updating the display name. So there's that, there's that. Was there a third thing? I don't know. So there we go. So we'll go ahead and handle our use and drop click events, and otherwise we're going to go and call this done. So for our item usage controller, we're going to go ahead and do this. How do we do this in our other one? When did we hook it up on start or on enable? Yeah, we did it on start. And on destroy, we're going ahead and getting rid of the hooks. No, I forgot to get rid of the hooks on that. And I don't really have any implementation for the player to use an item out of the inventory yet, so we are going to go ahead and leave it at that for the moment. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day.